let's talk about your first book, Embraced by the Light, because it's a book that's been in my possession for, I think, probably as soon as it got published, okay? And it's a very astounding book. And I would just like you to tell our audience, and you can take as much time as you want, because that, I think, is really the basis, the platform for talking about the ripple effect.
Well, Embraced by the Light is about an experience that I had back in 1973. I was taken into the hospital to have a hysterectomy, which went well, but it was later on that evening after the surgery that I hemorrhaged and experienced death. It was during that moment of death that my whole life changed. I had a certain belief about what you would experience at the moment of death, and I was raised as a child in the Catholic Church, and then later in Protestant Church. And I think I had pretty much gleaned from the two of them that when you died, that you would go into a sleep and stay that way until Christ came, and at which time you would be resurrected. Those, of course, not having sin would go with Christ. Those having sinned would go to hell. And so that was a belief system that I had. But what happened to me instead differed from what I believed tremendously, because I didn't go into a hell at all, but rather my spirit came out of my body, and I felt more natural, more whole, more wonderful than I had ever felt here on earth. And what I experienced was that there is no such thing as death. There is only a transformation from this state of being as a mortal being into the spiritual as a spiritual being that we have always been. And we came here to earth to occupy bodies for our education, for growth, and this is why God sent us here. We didn't come here because He just wanted us to be here, but actually we volunteered, and through His understanding, His wisdom, we came here to learn. At first, I was taken to I drifted into a very black space. There was no light. It was void of all sound. It was just darkness, but it was filled with love. It was a space that if I hadn't traveled beyond that place, I would have wanted to stay in this place, this black space, forever. It was so beautiful. But while in this space, and I knew that there were many other spiritual beings that occupied the same space.
How did you know? How did you know? You just sensed or felt?
You could sense and feel them, but they were not of interest. You know, I wasn't, they didn't distract me from what I was experiencing, nor was I interested in what they were experiencing. I just knew that they were there, but I felt comfortable. I felt all right about this space, which is contrary to any of my feelings prior to the experience, because I had agoraphobia, or not agoraphobia, but what is it when you're afraid of
closed space? Claustrophobia?
Phobia. I had claustrophobia, and being in the dark, surrounded by people, is certainly someone who's claustrophobic. That would be their nightmare, absolutely. And it wasn't like this at all for me. And then I saw a pinpoint of light, and I was attracted to that light. I learned that people who have a knowledge of God, people who know that there is something greater beyond this existence, will actually go towards that light. They're compelled to. Those who have perhaps do not have that inner belief system, they are not compelled, but they will stay there. Perhaps they just simply, because the light is love, and like attracts like, and if a person died not having love in them, it might take them a while to bathe in this love, to absorb it in order to go on beyond this point. And I traveled towards this light, and when I came to the light, I saw that the light was not just a light shining down upon me, but rather it was a being, and light flowed from him, and it flowed to me and to everything that surrounded me. I recognize this being as being Jesus Christ, who, of course, was in my belief system before I died. But I would never have thought or felt that he would have been there for me after death, because I was raised as a Native American. I was raised in boarding schools, and they taught that Native people were heathens and sinners, and I believed that. I thought that I could not ever get to heaven because God somehow or other was punishing me because of the color of my skin. And God chose to send me back. And I know one thing for sure, and that is that when he sends you back or does anything that is in his will, he can do it and do it perfectly, whether that is returning you into your body, making your body whole, making it stronger, however it needs to be. This is God. He is not limited by our science, by our understanding of the physical, or for that matter, of the spiritual.
Okay, now tell what happened with the light.
After I went to the light, which again I understood and I felt that it was Jesus for me, and it wasn't that he said that this is who he was. It was because I remembered him. I recognized him, like you would recognize your grandfather or grandmother or your parents, for that matter, if you died. And I knew who he was because I remembered him. I remembered him from my existence before coming to Earth. And I was very upset that Earth was so difficult. And he said that I had died prematurely. And I remember telling him that I was through with Earth, that I did not want to go back. And he wanted me to, I had questions, and I wanted all my questions answered. And he wanted them to be answered, which was so loving. I think back on that, and just thinking on it brings tears to my eyes, because he wanted me to know. I was acting out of frustration. In other words, I was saying things like, why didn't I know that this was that I existed like this? Why was this taken from my memory? Why was I born with dark skin? Why did I have to go through what I went through? Why is it that other people there who have it worse than me, why are they distanced from God and condemned? And as I would ask these questions, he would give me the answers.
Okay, when you say you asked the questions, how did you verbally ask questions, or how did you ask questions?
So the questions, the closest I can come to describe how that exchange took place, would be to say telepathically it was done. But actually it's even finer than what we understand communication as far as being, telepathic. It was more from the heart instead of from the head, from the mind, the brain. And so that type of communication is wonderful, because it leaves no room for miscommunication or untruths, half-truths, or lies. So as I communicated with him from my heart in that fashion, he communicated back to me from his heart all of the knowledge that I needed to gain from him. But the knowledge that is transferred is so instantaneous that you can ask millions of questions and receive those answers in just a matter of moments, which is very difficult to understand, I know.
Well, I think I understand it, but perhaps for our listening audience that might be a little bit difficult.